Hi everyone, welcome to Geom. This is a continuation of section 8.2. Despite that the notes say 5.8, this is special right triangles. And in the last lesson we learned about a 45-45 right triangle, which is basically a square cut in half grilled cheese style. So what we're doing today is we're talking about 30, 60, 90 triangles. So as you can see on the notes, I've drawn a purple triangle. And let's just pretend it's equilateral. It's not, but you know what? I'm okay with that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut it in half. So from here to here, and let's just pretend that that's a straight line. When I cut that equilateral triangle in half, I've split this angle. So all three angles were 60 degrees. So this one that I just split with the pink line is now 30 degrees. And this angle down here, still 60 degrees. So if I just erase half of that, what I have now is a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. And that's why we study is because it's half of an equilateral triangle, and it does also have some practical applications in real life. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. If you take a look at your notes, this is a little bit more complicated than the 45-45 because we've got three different sides. We've got, instead of the two legs being the exact same, we have a short leg and a long leg. And then we also have the hypotenuse. So sometimes we'll be given the short leg. That's the best case scenario because it's going to be pretty easy to find the long leg and the hypotenuse. Sometimes we'll be given the hypotenuse first, which our logic is going to be find the short leg, and then we'll find the long leg. But the worst possible scenario is if they give us the long leg first. So all we have to do is just follow the directions that are on there and we'll be okay. So let's start with question number 5. So this is a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. And looking at the things, the X is the short leg, the Y is the long leg, and the 18 is the hypotenuse. So if we follow our rules on that little chart, if we're given the hypotenuse, let's find the short leg first by just dividing by 2. So, there we go. If the hypotenuse is 18 divided by 2 and the short leg is 9. So now that I've got the short leg, now I can find the long leg by following the directions to go from short leg to long leg. We just multiply by square root of 3. So 9 square root of 3. And for what we're doing with the 30, 60, 90 triangle, it's always multiplied by square root of 3. 45 triangles have square root of 2. This type of triangle has square root of 3. So there we go. Question number 5. Easy peasy, all done. Let's take a look at question number 6. In this case, they give us the short leg. That's the best case scenario. So to go from the short leg to the hypotenuse, the notes say to just multiply by 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. We also need to figure out what the long leg is. So if you have the short leg and you want the long leg, it says just multiply by the square root of 3. So that's just going to end up being 2 square root of 3. And that's all there is to it. Just do what the notes say, and that's your answer. So let's go back to question number 7 here. In this case, they give us the hypotenuse. So your logic should be, if they give you the hypotenuse first, find the short leg next. And then you can find the long leg from there. So if the hypotenuse is 24 square root of 3, our little notes say to just divide by 2. So I'm going to take that 24 and divide it by 2, and I get 12. So the short leg is going to be 12 square root of 3. When you divide by 2, you don't mess with the square root of 3 part. You don't mess with the what's underneath the square root. If you multiply or divide by a whole number, you mess with the number that's on the outside, but not the square root. So 24 square root of 3 turned into 12 square root of 3. And then to go from our short leg to our long leg, it says multiply by square root of 3. So if I take 12 square root of 3 and I multiply by another square root of 3, that would get me 12 times the square root of 9. Now hang on a second. We can do a little bit more with that. Square root of 9 actually turns out to be a whole number. So that's square root of 9 is 3. So 12 times 3 is 36. So in this case, the long leg, which is usually the odd man out of the group, the long leg ended up being 36. Let's take a look at question number 8. So in this case, they give us the long leg. We haven't had one that gives us the long leg yet. So let's take a look at that. The notes tell us that if we're given the long leg and we want to find the short leg, we're going to remove the square root of 3. But if I look here, square root of 3 is not even on there. So I have to follow the other set of notes where it says divide by 3 and then multiply by square root of 3. So I'm going to take this 33. I'm going to follow the notes. I'm going to divide it by 3. Let me change my color here a little bit. Let's go with blue. Let's take that 33 and divide it by 3, and we get 11. And then I just multiply by the square root of 3. So that's my answer for the short leg, 11 square root of 3. And then to get my hypotenuse, I just double that. So when I multiply by 2, I get 22 square root of 3. Not square root of 6, but the square root of 3 just stays square root of 3. So that's pretty much what you have to do. Let's do a few more examples. Some of these are going to go quick. So 13, they give us the short leg. I like it when they give us the short leg. It's nice and easy. You just double it and you get the hypotenuse. To find the long leg, you just multiply by the square root of 3. So 8 square root of 3. Number 14, let's try a different color. They give us the hypotenuse. That's not too bad, because all you have to do is just cut it in half, and that's your short leg, your short leg. And then take that short leg and multiply by square root of 3. Number 15, they give us the long leg here. So that's the worst case scenario is when they give you the long leg. But this is the easiest way to have the long leg. The first set of notes says remove the square root of 3. So because this has a square root of 3 on it, I'm just going to remove, and that makes x 4. And then multiply by 2, and then get you y equals 8. Number 16 is going to be another quick problem. The short leg is 9. That makes the hypotenuse 18. The short leg is 9. That makes the long leg 9 square root of 3. Number 17, the hypotenuse is 34. So you cut that in half to get the short leg, and you get 17, which then makes the long leg 17 square root of 3. Number 18, another situation where they give us the long leg. So to find the short leg, I'm just going to remove that square root of 3 and get 9, which makes the hypotenuse 18. So it's really the exact same triangle as in question number 16, just they gave us a different side to start off with. Okay, number 19, let's go ahead and do that. Oh, this is interesting. The short leg is 4 square root of 2. So when I multiply 4 times 2, okay, not this 2 right here, but it says to double it to get the hypotenuse. So that'll make 8 square root of 2. And then to get the long leg, I have to multiply by square root of 3. So because I've already got a square root, and I'm going to multiply by another square root, that's going to end up being 4 square root of 2 times square root of 3. Because both of those numbers are underneath the square root, I can multiply those and get square root of 6. And it's the 4 that doesn't change. Similar idea on question number 20. The hypotenuse is 8 square root of 3. So I need to divide by 2 and get 4 square root of 3. And then to get the long leg, multiply by square root of 3 again. So 4 square root of 3 times another square root of 3 would get me 4 square root of 9. Well, that's an ugly 9. Let's try that again. And of course, square root of 9 is just 3. So 4 times 3 would give me 12. Final answer. Now there's one more question I want to do, just because it's a little bit different. Let's do question number 27 here. So in this case, it says 9 as the long leg. So the notes for if you start off with the long leg, it says remove the square root of 3. But there's no square root of 3 to remove there. So what I have to do is follow the other set of notes. I'm going to divide by 3, which gives me 3, and then multiply by a square root of 3. So my short leg is going to be 3 square root of 3. And then you just double that, and you get 6 square root of 3. So the notes are a little bit more complicated than the 45-45 right triangle, but it's pretty much figure out what you've got, figure out what you're looking for, and then use the notes. Okay, should be pretty easy. If not, let me know. But I hope you guys have a great day. Hope the assignment goes easy for you, and I'll see you soon. Have a good one.